Hello everybody, welcome to the Java example section. In this section, I'm going to create a program to count the number of occurrences of a certain word in a given string. My idea is like this. I create a content class first, and the content object will be created to store the input string received from the keyboard. And then I will count the number of occurrences of a given word from that string. The process is like this. I will trim the string first so that the leading spaces and the trailing spaces are removed. Then I will search for the matches of the given word at the beginning and at the end of the trimmed string. After doing so, I'm going to search for the given word in the middle of the substring by ignoring the beginning and the end of the words in the trimmed string. And the condition is that I need to ensure that the given word is surrounded by spaces. Otherwise, I won't count this word as one valid answer. Let us see an example shown on the slide. Suppose my target is to search for the word "and". In this case, I will go to the very first word on the trimmed string. I can see that there is a target word on the beginning, and I can also see my target on the very far end of my trimmed string. So I will count these two words as my answer. But how about this one in the middle? I can do something like this. I start the search here, which is just beyond my first word, and I will end the search here, which is just before the final word. And in the middle of this part of the trimmed string, I will create a window like this. So in addition to checking the words in the middle, I also require that this word is surrounded by one leading space and one trailing space. So in this case, I will count the word once more. So altogether, I will have 3 words to be counted. And for any other words here and there, I won't do the counting for them because they are not part of my requirements. Okay, let us go to the implementation. I will create a content class on the right hand side, and on the left hand side I will have a driver program to make use of the content class. So I will try to demonstrate how I will make use of the content class. I will ask for the user input, and before doing so, I need to import the scanner package. And after the import, I can create a scanner object. I create a reference variable called scan, which is storing the reference of a scanner object whose actual parameter is system.in. System.in means that I'm going to receive the user input from the keyboard. Okay, I will ask for the scanner object to receive a line of input by using the next line method of a scanner object, and the result will be stored in the variable called content. To be more precise, content is string ref reference variable that stores the address of the string received by the user input. Okay, after I've asked for the user input, I can close the scanner object. And then I can create a content object by passing the content reference variable to the constructor of the content class. I will create the content class very quickly later. Suppose my target to search for is the word the. I save this target into the variable called word. Again, word is the reference variable to the string the. My idea is like this. I will create a method called getCount to return the number of words in my content. So I'm going to do the content class now. For this class, I will have some instance variables. I will have a paragraph, which is going to become the content of my user input. Okay, this is the constructor of my content class. What does it mean by here? I will receive a string, and then I will put that string reference to the instance variable of my content object. Again, this paragraph variable is the reference variable of the string. That is going to be accepted by the user input. Okay, I can go to the process of doing the getCount method. I will first trim the paragraph, and I will store the trimmed paragraph in the variable called trimmed. Of course, I will use this trimmed reference variable to locate the string object after doing the trimming. And then I will have some indices for me to locate the character to be investigated. Before doing so, I will have some variables to make my code a bit easier to read. WL here means the word length. In my case, I have the word the. So WL will return 3. And the TL variable here refers to the length of the trimmed string, which of course depends on the user input. and then I will consider all possible cases that can be received from the user input. Suppose the input string after trimming is only th instead of the least requirement of the. In this case, the trimmed length is even shorter than the word length. In this case, I will simply return 0. And after this return statement, the get count would simply return 0 as my answer on the left-hand side. If it is not the case, we can have more consideration. If I have a string and that string is exactly equal to the word to be searched for, I can simply return 1. How can I do that? Okay, this is my implementation. If the trimmed length is equal to the word length, and the substring obtained from the beginning of the trimmed string to the index indicated by the word length, and for this part, if the trimmed string is exactly equal to the target word, I will simply return 1 as the final answer. It means that my input string is exactly equal to the target. So this is the end of the searching. If this kind of string is really present in the user input, I can stop doing further manipulations. If I have a trimmed string that is not having this condition or this condition, it means that the trimmed length is already longer than the word length. And then I will need to do the real counting, starting from the beginning of the trimmed string. Let me consider one case first. In this string, the first word is exactly equal to the target, shown here. In this case, I have to really count this word as 1. How can I really get this word at the very beginning of the trimmed string as being counted? I can do something like this. Okay, the trimmed dot substring 0 word length means that I'm going to capture this word, which is the word at the very beginning of the trimmed string. If this word is exactly equal to the target word, I will make the count one more. So I will use count plus plus to increase the number of counts by 1. I also need to consider the case when the target word is at the very far right of the trimmed string. In this case, how can I count this word as 1? Okay, I can do something like this. The first condition is going to check whether the word at the very far right of the trimmed string is exactly equal to the target word. And the second part is going to check whether the word has a leading space before that. Char at refers to the way or the method of a string to locate the character, and TL minus WL minus 1 is going to give me the character index just before my target word, which is simply this space. If that character is a space, and if the word following that space is exactly equal to my target, I will count this word by adding the count one more. So after these two steps, I've already checked the words at the beginning and at the end of the trimmed string. So now I can consider the substring without considering the beginning word and the ending word. From now on, I can use a window approach to see whether the target word is surrounded by spaces. How can I do that? I can use a for loop to help me loop over the middle substring. The beginning will be equal to index indicated by WL. It means that I will ignore the very first word on the very far left of the trimmed string. And the looping will end before the target word at the very far right of my trimmed string. So TL minus WL means the index of the very far right word at the right end of my trimmed string. So now I can create the window. Okay, let me explain the logic here. This part is telling me to check whether the target word is present in the middle of the trimmed string. And in addition, I'm going to check whether the character before that word is a space. And I will also check whether the character just after this word is also a space. So in this case, I'm going to consider whether I can search for a word, and I can also consider whether this word is surrounded by spaces. If it is the case, I will count that word by increasing the count variable by 1. After these kinds of processes, I will return the number of words being counted by using the return keyword. Let me save it. And let me save it as well. Here I need to use double equal signs in order to compare the things on the left hand side and the thing on the right hand side. This is the equality symbol used in Java. Okay, let me try to run it. Okay, altogether I will have 3 thirds in my string. My original string is like this, which contains some leading spaces and trailing spaces. After doing the trimming here, the range to consider is just that wide. And from this trimmed string, I'm going to check whether the first word is equal to the target word. So this part will work for me in order to count this first word. And the second word here can be counted by using this for loop. I need to check whether the target word is also surrounded by 1 leading space and 1 trailing space. So in this case, I will count the word once more. And for the word at the very far right, I will get 1 more count by using the condition shown here. In this case, I can capture the final word at the very far right of the trimmed string. And for any other words there, I don't really count them, even though each of the words contains THE as some of their components. Because these words can't satisfy any one of these conditions listed in the getCount method. My code is intuitive and straightforward, but it may not be the best or the most efficient solution to the problem. If you can suggest any idea to improve my code, feel free to do so on the comment section below the video. If you like this video, please give me a like and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.